Alright guys, welcome back. So today we're going to do the assembly of all of the internal parts. I already have them assembled, so I'm recording this after, but that's what I'm going to show you guys in this video. It's going to be kind of a long one, so sit tight. Hopefully enjoy it. I will put timestamps in the description of the video, so if you want to come back later and reference a certain section of the video, feel free. I'll put it in the description. Hopefully enjoy it. Alright, so the first piece of this whole assembly process of the main components is going to be this rear assembly section. So this is your output shaft, your tail shaft. Another sun gear planetary assembly. You do have two bearings, one bearing here, another bearing here. So I'm just going to go and replace these one for one swap as I pull them out of the packaging. So that was this bearing here. So I'm just going to match it up, make sure I get the same bearing coming out of the package. Same thing. And I'll do the same thing here. This bearing, pull it out. This going to be this one. So that's going to be this bearing here. And I did drop it, so I'm just going to make sure all the needle bearings are kind of okay in there. I'll take this thing and put it back down underneath. So now that these bearings are in there, this is going to go through this section. To the bottom side, and I did hear the bearing kind of fall off a little bit. Holy moly, guys. I'm gonna make sure that this is in there okay, and then I'll just make sure I pop this piece back on. So this is gonna go on here, and now the tail shaft is gonna go on, output shaft. So now that the output shaft is on, the snap ring can go on. Alright, so that should be okay. Let's make sure that our bearing is lined up. I'm probably going to drop a little bit of clean transmission fluid down in there. Lubed up okay. That looks pretty good. So now that that section is in there, I'm gonna take this washer here, line that thing up. It's got these little feet on the bottom, and they line up inside these holes. And it seems like it'd be like really easy to line that up, but it's not. At least I struggle with it. Now we're gonna take this rear sun gear, kind of lube it up, get some fluid on there. So you can see that this one has this little beveled edge on the bottom on the inside, where this one's squared off on the inside right here. This one is a beveled edge. So that beveled edge is going to go in here first. Now that's going to engage in those sun gears or planetary gears inside there. So next we have this shaft. We do the same thing, throw a little bit of fluid on there. So you have these holes right here, these lube holes. That lube hole I'm going to line up with this little notch right here. See how that lube hole is lined up with that notch? Slam that thing down. So we do have another 3-piece bearing. I'm going to leave that one out off to the side. That's a new bearing. So next, after all this junk is in there, this is a little bit tricky. What I'm just going to do is kind of take it and twist it a little bit. Sometimes one side gets raised up a little higher than the other. So lift it up, twist it. Now it's seated all the way. So you can see it rotating inside there. Now I'm going to take this bearing and stick that bearing back over the top so it rides right on top of that. I'm going to take this thrust washer and throw that right over the top. So that's going to sit just like that. Alright, so just for good measure, this is a washer that goes inside, like basically at the back of the transmission. And then this is going to go on the back side of this carrier assembly here. So I'm going to just put this on here. There's some holes in the back. And then this thing is going to go on the back of the transmission. So I'm just going to set this with it for now. And then I'm going to set this whole assembled section off to the side. Okay, so next we have the center support. So this center support goes inside that rear carrier assembly. Goes right over the top of that. So this will be the next piece that's going to go in the transmission. This is a piston. It has a little spring assembly on the top and a snap ring. So this one is actually the bad one, the one that I'm replacing. I have a new one on the way, but just for the sake of the video, I'm gonna go ahead and replace these sealing rings, all 4 of them. I'm not gonna do it on this one, but I'm gonna show the assembly. This piston here, I did go through and see these lip seals inside. Replace the lip seals. There's a lip seal there. Basically, this seal has a little lip on it. So there's a flat section inside here. This is the flat section. And then this is a little lip that kind of hangs down. So if I'm putting this over, the flat section is going to go inside this piston. The lip you can see right there hangs down. Actually kind of hangs over the tip of the screwdriver. So it's like flush at the top and then it hangs down. Same thing on the inside here. You can see that little lip. I take a little bit of transmission fluid. And I'm going to put this over the top. Kind of rock it back and forth. So there is actually like a special kind of lip seal tool, but I'm going to try just using a feeler gauge and see what that does. See, the lip is actually lip seal is kind of catching on the outside, so I'm gonna have to be a little bit more careful. I thought it was just catching on the inside to make sure. See, I actually kind of pulled it out there. So I'm gonna be a little more careful next time. Alright, so now it's all the way good, all the way around. And I'll put the spring over at the top. You can see the spring is going to go inside these little holes. And next the snap ring goes over the top here. This one I might actually just be able to get with my hands. Push the spring down. There we go. So now that's all the way in. So this piece is assembled now. So there's your center support assembly. Okay, so we're on to the direct drum now. This is the new piston that's gonna be going in. This is the old one that is coming out. So I'm just gonna take that, replace it, get rid of the old one. We do have this little wave plate here. And I'd like to apologize to anyone that watched the first video. I said that this plate was actually warped from heat, but they actually did a design change. I think it was around 97. So like the 96 or 97 and newer have this waved plate inside the drum instead of a dished plate. So this is actually good. I'm gonna be keeping this. That's a good one, so I apologize for that one. Next we have some steels here. These are the new steels. So in the direct drum, we have the steels that have all of the square tabs on them. The forward drum has like a dovetail tab, so this is a thicker plate and you can easily tell the difference. It's almost one plate thicker when you hold them all together. So the thicker plates have the square tabs. These go in the direct drum. The thinner plates with these dovetails on them, these dovetail tabs, those go in the forward drum. So we're gonna use the thicker plates with the square tabs in the direct drum. So there's 5 of these plates. And then there's going to be 5 clutches. We have the main drum. This is completely stripped right now. There's going to be a spring assembly that goes on the bottom. There is a lip seal inside of here. We have this spring assembly. This has 16 springs. We have 2 snap rings. One spiral snap ring holds the bottom spring assembly on, and then this one holds the top spring on. We have this retaining plate, a snap ring, another big ring that goes on the top. So first thing I'm gonna do here is pull this lip seal out. This lip seal is actually good. Looks pretty good, but I'm gonna go ahead and change it. So I'm gonna change it with this new one. So I'm gonna lube this thing up pretty good. Some fresh transmission fluid. And then go ahead and put this lip seal back in here. We're doing the same thing that we did before with the other lip seal. This lip seal is gonna go point outward. So this lip is actually pointing towards me right now, so it's gonna catch this way. You can see if I put the screwdriver in there, the lip is actually pointing towards me. That's the direction that it goes. So next we're going to, just to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to also be replacing this So I'm just gonna take this whole assembly and we'll actually put it right over the top here. Maybe I'll disassemble it. I'll put this piece on first, facing down. I'll put this over the top. And then this outer race is gonna go right over the top here. This is supposed to spin clockwise, but not counterclockwise. Now this is all the way down. Spins clockwise, does not spin counterclockwise. You see the whole drum turning with me? Clockwise, it spins. Doesn't spin counterclockwise. All right, so that's good. We're going to put this retaining plate on. And then next we have this spiral snap ring. So the snap ring is actually 2 full loops and it's spiraled. So we'll put this thing on. Make sure that ring is seated inside there. Now this doesn't come out. It's not going anywhere. We got clockwise, spins, doesn't spin counterclockwise, so that's good to go with the new piece. And then first thing we're gonna do is put this piston inside here. I do actually have this jug of transmission assembly lube. Look at how fancy that is. All right, get this thing activated a little bit. Use some lube. I'm gonna just use 2 fingers, get it all lubed up, stick it in, and then swirl it around. Throw it on the piston. And this is gonna be a little tricky now. So we gotta get this piston to seat all the way down inside here. So we do have the lip seal we gotta worry about, and we have these outer seals that are gonna snag as we're trying to put this thing in. This lip seal tool slash feeler gauge. I'm gonna try to get this thing in there. It's seated all the way down past that lip there. It is down all the way. You can see it kind of spins freely now. So I did have to go around the top seal a little bit to get it to sit flush here, and then I had to go around here keeping even pressure a few times. It took quite a few tries to actually get it down there, but it's in now. So we get to do it all over on the forward drum, so maybe I'll try to show you that whole process because that took me like 20 minutes. Next, we're going to put the wave plate in there, and you can see it already has a ring around it from where the piston was pushing on it. So we're going to go wave plate, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch. There we go. So wave plate, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch. Basically 5 and 5. And then we'll put these guys in there. Clutch. Steel, clutch. Steel, clutch. And then on the top, we're gonna do this top ring here. And then the snap ring is gonna go on the outside. The spring plate will go here to hold the piston down into place. This will have to be compressed with a clamp, but this snap ring goes over the top here To hold this top ring in, I'll put this snap ring in there quickly. Alright guys, so this is basically the process that I'm using to compress the spring to get the snap ring back in there, to compress it to get it out, and to put it back in. So pressing this down, there you can see the snap ring just fell into place when I got it back down a little bit more. So now I will slowly pull these clamps off. These are just regular wood clamps. Mount them underneath the table, and then it's able to push this down enough to get that snap ring in there. And that is the assembly of the direct drum. So we got all the clutches and steels in there. Wave plate, remember, clockwise, and it does not spin counterclockwise. So this piece is done, ready to go. Okay boys, now we're gonna get going on the forward drum here. I'm gonna get this bushing out, place that bushing. I also found a 32mm socket. I'm gonna use the back side of the socket, and it's like the perfect size to push that bushing in there. It's just kind of getting creative, I guess, because I don't really have the tools to get those bushings in. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to find the seam. It's kind of like point of no return once you smash the hell out of it, but this is just kind of like what is the average Joe gonna do in his garage when you want to do this? I don't have the tools for it, but you can see when I said the seam, what I meant was there's like a little section here that connects into this other piece. So there's actually like a seam in there where you can split it and get it to come out. You can see it a lot better. There's two little like puzzle looking pieces there. So smash it at the seam and then it'll come out. New bushing kit, that looks like the right one. Skorzinski. Okay, so we got that new bushing in there. I'm gonna go ahead and flip this over. We'll start to assemble the drum. We do have a little gasket there, so I'm gonna lube that up. We're gonna take the old piston out, and the new piston is gonna go in. So a new piston, I'm gonna take some fresh transmission fluid. I have a little bucket over here that I keep dipping my fingers in. It's actually the pan that the clutches were soaking in. It's still got some in it. The clutches are still sitting in there. Get this thing all looby-doobied up. You can also use the trans stuff. Kind of lube this piece up. Believe it or not, I actually did buy a brush just to do this with. And I'm not using it because I don't know where it is. Pretty cool. I said on the other video I was gonna try to do this drum install all in one piece and actually show you how I'm doing it. So I put this down. You can see it rocks a little bit on the top because it's actually catching on this inner seal here. It's catching on this inner seal. Put my fingers in the lube and put it in the hole again. And then we'll grab this feeler gauge and keep pressure on it. So you got a little section that's actually down in there. I'll go around the outer seal edge. Oh, see, just like that. A little bit easier than the last one. Just kind of go around the inner seal, get that to drop down, go around the outer seal, and then it'll actually drop down into place. So you can see now it's down in there, it's fully seated. Now we can go ahead and start putting the clutches and the steels in there. This is the wave plate. Line going around the ring is what seats down against the piston. Now that the piston is down in place, we can put that wave plate on top. Just like that. Clutches. And the steels for the forward drum. So there's 5 of these. And remember, the forward drum has the dovetail tabs on it. So these are soaked. I'm gonna go through again quick. You can see that they're soaked, they're wet and fluid. Actually look okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and get my fingers a little bit wet. So again, we're gonna do plate, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch. All right, so we'll put those in that way. All right, so on top of that, we have our little spring plate here. So we're gonna need to compress this down like we did on the other one. We're going to use our clamps, compress this down and put the snap ring in. Got this set up, basically just using a couple clamps, pushing that thing down. And now I'm gonna put the snap ring on. I have to get creative here. There we go. So this is still a bit of a challenge without like a good snap ring pliers, so I'm going to try to hook that bottom side in. There we go. Wasn't so bad. Yeah, it's almost like I tried that. Now I'm just going to take this off. Take the other clamp off. And now the forward drum springs are good to go. So now that we have this spring that holds the piston down in place, I'm just going to give it a little test there. Take this thrust washer. This is a new one. Just going to lube it up a little bit. Put it over the top. This is a new one, replacing the old one. There's not really a whole lot of difference in wear, but that's gonna go on there. This little guy, have this washer on top. Thrust washer goes underneath. It's going to take a little bit of persuasion to get this to drop all the way down. But you can hear the difference because there's not like a metal on metal. Right now, it's hitting the clutch. There. Now it dropped down all the way. Now you can hear it's metal on metal. It's actually hitting the piston now. So that's down all the way. That's in place. This, here we go. This is gonna go down on here. And then we have snap ring. That's good to go. Flip this thing over, and then we have our bearing. This bearing is gonna go right on here. Okay, on to the Overrun drum. This is for the overdrive. This fancy little bugger here. Got a couple planetary gears, another bearing down there. We got a little snap ring. This will come off. This will all come off, and you can get these planetary gears and stuff out. These are pretty good looking, so I'm gonna leave them all in there. There is this roller sprag right here. This is gonna go down. I'm just gonna leave it kind of where it was. Make sure that all the pieces are in place. So we do have another plate, a snap ring, a bushing, and another bonded piston here. So the kit comes with a piston. This is the new piston. Again, the piston goes under this spring assembly here. So we're gonna go ahead. There is no lip seal or anything inside there. Just gonna go through and give it another whirl, a little double check. Assembly lube on this piston. I'll throw some around on the inside. Go ahead and throw the piston down. That one's a little bit easier to get in. So we have this spring plate, and we have a snap ring that's gonna go over the top of this. And this one is kind of tricky. At least it was tricky getting it off. This is kind of a thicker snap ring. And I did have quite a hard time getting this one off also. But we'll see if we can make it work. There we go. All right, so that's just basic tools. It's the name of the game, I guess. There's a few that are, there we go. Push down on it, snaps in. So now we got the snap ring in all the way around. Like I said, this one's kind of thick. It's pretty difficult to get out. It was a little bit challenging for me just with this normal snap ring pliers and a few beers and a screwdriver. We replace this bushing also. And next we have the overdrive drum clutches and steels. So we have a plate here, 3 steels, 3 clutches. So these are all soaked. All right, so we have steel. These are the Overrun drums with the holes. We go plate, clutch, steel, clutch, steel, clutch. Then we have this top plate. And then we have a snap ring. All right. So that thing looks okay. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this roller sprag. I'm just gonna stuff it on here, and then we'll flip this guy over. And then we'll start the battle. So we have a sun gear that we need to align with the planets. So there we got that aligned with the planets. Now we're gonna go through and try to get all of the clutches lined up. Get all your planet and sun lined up. And just kind of rock back and forth, and then you're going to want to just wiggle it. Rock back and forth until you get it all the way down. And you'll know it's down because it's going to hit metal on metal. And you get your snap ring. And put your snap ring on. Okay, now we're going to temporarily set this off to the side. We're going to grab this input shaft. So we have an O-ring, And then we have some Teflon sealing rings, 2 different sizes, 4 rings, and then an O-ring. All right, so I have a green ring. It's gonna replace the black ring. But I'm gonna go ahead and get these other Teflon rings off. You can see I got the 2 different sizes here. Teflon rings, and these things like kind of stretch over. They're kind of weird. They stretch over and then they shrink back down to the right size. So you're supposed to pull them over, and then there's actually like a special tool that's really expensive that you're supposed to use that compresses it back down to the right size. A tool that you actually put over the cap, like the top of this thing, it's like a cap. You push it over and then it compresses this ring down back into size. Okay, this little clip is actually the next day because I decided to use this custom tool that I made to compress those Teflon rings. So it's pretty high tech. So I want to see if it worked, how well it worked. I say how well it worked because I know it worked, right? It's gotta work. So it's they're a little wavy yet, but so they're not very loose on there anymore. So they're nice and tight. So works a little bit better than, or maybe not better, but it's better than buying a $200 tool that I'm going to use one time. So okay, so we'll take this drum, Overrun drum, put a little assembly lube inside there. Now that we have these rings all on the shaft, take these rings, insert this shaft all the way through, and you'll hear it seat all the way in. So once that's all the way in, there's a little groove right here. This is actually a new snap ring. Mine was kind of bent and wouldn't hold anymore, so I ended up deciding to get a new one. So I'm just going to take this snap ring, so now that that's on there, that'll hold that Overrun drum in place onto the input shaft. Pretty much it. So next we have the 4th drum. This is the last drum that's actually going to go in the case, or the first one that would come out. So inside here we have 2 lip seals. There's 1 lip seal in this outer drum. There's 1 on this inner drum. I'm going to pull these out and replace these things. Go ahead and pull them out. So again, here we're going to stick the flat inside the drum. All right. So there we have that lip seal in, facing down. And we have this other one, but the lip is actually facing to the inside. Go and do the same thing, push this lip seal in here. That lip seal's in all the way around. This lip is facing down this way. This lip is facing down this way. Okay, so the assembly of this drum is kind of tricky, because you have the lip seals kind of fighting against each other. This one goes over the top this way. Again, there is like a special tool for this, to do this, but I'm just gonna balance this up top here, and then I'm gonna put this one over. And again, I'm gonna use the feeler gauge. Just gonna go around the top. You can see that if you can see it from my angle, that none of that lip seal's overhanging. I just kind of go underneath, start working on it from the bottom. Alright, so now that's it in again. Try not to mess this up this time. So what I usually try to do, or what I've been trying to do, I should say, is get one side low, and then get the snap ring entered into the groove behind one of these little tabs right here. See, all the way around it has these little tabs that are sticking up. And I'll try to get them in the ring groove behind the tab. All right, that snap ring goes around inside these little tabs all the way around the top. So now the two fourth drum sections are together. Now that we have the spring plate and snap ring in there, we'll flip this over. We have the fourth clutches and steels. We're gonna do clutch, steel, clutch, steel, alternating. You guys get the drill. And then we have one more big ring that goes over the top. This thing is gonna fall in right there. And we got a snap ring. Make sure that's down all the way in place. And that's it. That's it for the assembly of the fourth drum. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think. Have a good one.